Hello, I am Amanda Leverman. I am a veteran elementary art teacher, a district elementary art facilitator, and a curriculum and instruction PhD student. And today I would like to share with you George Szekely's idea of visual lesson planning. So, who is George Szekely? George Szekely is a lot to the field of art education. He is an artist teacher. He's had over 26 one person shows across the United States and Canada. He is an art education scholar. He is, like I said, a painter, and he is an author to 15 inspirational books for art educators. And if you'd like to find out more about his work, head over to georgeszekely.com to find out a bit more about him. This work was inspired through my search for meaningful activities for the art educators I serve as a district elementary art facilitator. Part of our August professional development session was going to be about lesson planning, and I was looking for a way to enhance what usually seems to be a pretty mundane planning process for the educators. And I love his ideas from this writing. The writing was 30 Years of Planning in Artist Teachers Visual Lesson Plan Books. It was published back in 2006 in the NAEA Journal Art Education. This quote really hits home. Art education is not a lecture, so why plan for it as a speech? Why do we sit at a keyboard and write out sentences when the ideas and inspiration is coming to us from so many other sources rather than just text? So, stepping away from your keyboard, getting out your sketchbook, and visualizing what could be in an art lesson is what this is all about. So, a great idea that he presents is to actively sketch your raw ideas and look at old sketchbook entries and old maybe exemplars you've developed with your students to build your lessons further. This process of creating new, looking at old, synthesizing the two is such a great way to model the thought process required of artists to our students. And doing this really, as these are his words, build some pretty audacious lesson ideas. All of the inspiration for this is successful because Szekely really understands the need for art educators to be artistically inspired in our work. We're trained as teachers, we're trained as educators. This allows us to put both of the best practices of both really into an idea to benefit our students. So planning an art lesson is a design for a work of art. That's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to teach, so we should plan for it as such. I love this too. He says, bringing teachers close to the reality of the lesson, closer to the drama of the lesson, because what is seen and experienced in the art room is equally important as what is being said. Again, it hones in on the art teacher skills that we have as artists and educators. And by taking lesson planning away from the mundane and into a more creative realm, the art educators' diverse ways of thinking are utilized. And again, we're modeling those creative reflections with our students. So there is a 4-step process to visual lesson planning. In the first step, you start at the beginning and you draw the entrance to your classrooms and other first impressions that your students might have. Do they have to take a few steps around that drying rack full of yesterday's completed work? Are they going to walk into a dimly lit room full of aesthetic lighting where you've set out some moody still life for them to draw? What's it going to be like when they first walk in the room? The second is preliminary plays. You're going to diagram the props and events that will help introduce the lesson and set the mood. So if they're going to be drawing that dark still life with value, plan for what props are going to enhance the mood or the construct that you are looking for that student to focus on. Then the third step is to draw the full view of the room. You're going to create a blueprint where everything needs to be in order to get everything done. And finally, the last part is the details. You'll continue to add a few diagrams that depict the activities visually sequenced. And for elementary art educators, considering the transitions was a very thoughtful part of his work to me because we often are. That is a huge component of our lesson planning. How am I going to keep these little hands busy while I work with this small group cutting or gluing or pasting, and how am I going to allow students freedom of choice throughout all of that too? I think is another really great idea. So I ask you to consider drawing how you would like the presentation involved in the lesson to be. Imagine your floors, windows, whiteboard as blank canvases. And another really strong question that Szekely presents in his work is, do you really need a PowerPoint? Throughout all of this, are you going to get back on the computer? Are you going to plan out other means of visually presenting the information you wish to convey? In doing that, you can draw show and tell displays that include objects to inspire students. These can be items from nature, vintage collectibles, source images you plan to post around the room, and drawing how you plan to post those around the room. I love his idea of including unwrapping and unveiling moments of these in your sketchbook. So you don't have to have everything perfectly laid out, but planning for those moments when you might surprise your students with a piece that will encourage and inspire them to further develop their work would be very beneficial to adding deeper layers of meaning to their artwork. And he also suggests creating shopping sites where students might explore and shop for materials from a list that they create, and plan for how you will distribute and monitor the use of materials in the lesson. And throughout your sketches, which don't have to be perfect, by the way, you're not looking to create a work of art, you're looking to really just expressively put your ideas on paper. Really consider, what does this all look like in the end? So, in conclusion, I have my own ideas to share about his work. And most of my teachers have reported that visually just sketching out an overview of their lessons throughout the year was really, really helpful. I believe the most important process of this visual lesson planning concept is the opportunities for educators to reflect throughout the entire process. Reflecting is an important skill for the educators to practice, to reflect on the space, processes, objects, artistic output, and most importantly, all of the individuals who will be engaged with the lesson is paramount to its success. So I encourage you, go get your sketchbook and get a pencil, pen, brush, and put it to the pages and let your drawing tool wander through the possibilities of your next lesson. And if you'd like to read Szekely's ideas for yourself, here is the very useful resource for this lesson. And I thank you for being with me today, and I hope the concept of visual lesson planning is beneficial to you.